Rotating flags. The Ivory Coast, if rotated, can be Ireland, obviously. They're literally the exact same, just one's turned upside down. The next one, hey, I can be Colombia. Wait, who was that? That's Armenia. And you flip it and that, whoa, I never realized that. Well, technically I never realized that because they are slightly different. This is more of an orange and this is more of a yellow. Also, Colombia has a different aspect ratio. This is like a much thicker strip. But the way this video set it up, they did it so quickly. It's like, oh yeah, just like throw another one in there. You can't think about it too much. Well, there's way too many, like there's way too many. Palestine to, okay, we have to go back to that. Poland and Indonesia, obviously the Philippines. And, oh my gosh, this reminds me of a meme. That meme, okay, hold on. I gotta bring this up. The normal Filipino flag be like, hee hee, versus the Filipino flag during wartime, not hee hee. They take conflict in this nation very seriously, so much so that they have to change their flag. Well, they put it upside down, but. Oh, to be fair, this is supposed to be Monaco, the small one. Okay, that goes into skull mode because these are turning into flags that are more bad. That's Russia lifting out. Iran can be man, this is such a fast video. No wonder it got 2.8 million views. You gotta watch it like 5 times to get all the references, which is a good sign. It's a great video. This is the UAE flipping and becoming Palestine. Again, I never noticed that reference either. The video does such a great job of going fast enough that you can't really tell that there's kind of more changes here than just flipping the flag, but it's definitely close enough. And when you flip the Yemen flag, you get an old Imperial Germany. That's why they went skull mode. Now that is a perfect example of it's accurate. It's just flipped and it's exactly the other nation. There's also the nation of Serbia flipping and turning into Russia if you get rid of their coat of arms. And then we have Hungary and Iran. Yeah, Hungary saying I can be Iran if I rotate my flag. You also got to throw some differences in there. But yeah, Philippines flag giving me flashbacks. Yemen is about to start his villain arc. Nice job, not just guy. More flipped flags. I look like France when I'm flipped. Oh, this is not flipped at a complete 180 degrees. This is obviously just the Netherlands going 90 degrees, becoming France. Here's France stepping into frame. Why would France step into frame? Oh, this is a slightly different blue, I'm guessing. We already talked about this. Armenia becoming Colombia, very similar. Austria obviously stays the same. Then there's all the red and white nations. Then there's Serbia becoming Russia. Then there's Yemen becoming the Reich. And then yeah, the Philippines war mode. Isn't there another example? I feel like we're missing one. Well, Italy can also become Hungary. That's one thing they didn't mention. No rotation needed here, but Mexico's also very similar to Italy. It's interesting because obviously when flags are flown, they very easily can get rotated in the wind, especially if they accidentally get ripped off the flagpole or it's just like facing the wrong direction. Imagine if Nepal had their same war flag, but they did the same thing as the Philippines. It's already such a weird flag, but now imagine it like this. Poland, yo, wanna switch? Indonesia, alright, bet. Now apparently the reason for the Philippines war flag is because blue means peace and red means war, which I feel like a lot of people can generally get that vibe. That seems like a common theme. Thanks, Cluter. Another one from them, similar flags. Obviously, there's Turkey and Tunisia. Then there's Niger and India. Just different icons, but same strips. There's a bunch of like, I guess Slavic nations, like Slovenia, like Serbia, like Slovakia, and then of course like Russia. Man, that's 4 right there. I feel like I've not noticed the similarities between all these nations until now. I mean, maybe Slovenia and Slovakia, and then Serbia and Russia, but even all of them are connected. And then there's obviously the United Kingdom, which pretty much just, well, forced their copyright symbol in a bunch of different flags. They always had to leave their watermark and just ruin so many places. I mean, some of these are not all completely ugly. I will say they look really ugly on the Countryball design when you have to put them on a ball form. Surprised there's been no reference to the similarities between the Nordic flags. The change in number of nuclear weapons. We obviously have the USSR going from like 40,000 to only 5,000. The USA who had 30,000 going to 5,200. And now, wait, did I say those numbers right? I don't even know. Well, Kazakhstan and Ukraine who had some, but I mean, they were part of the USSR, so that's why it's a little confusing. Now they have 0, obviously. They gave a lot of theirs back. Here's China at 50. Now they have 500. One of the only places that actually went up. Well, actually, is that true? North Korea went up because they just developed their nuclear weapons, I think, in like 2008. I guess it depends on the time frame. It's crazy, actually, how long the USA dominated the USSR. For instance, in the year 1960, the Russians only had about 100. Meanwhile, the Americans had like 20,000. Then literally everything changed in the 1980s. So countries like the US, the Soviet Union, France, the UK, they all have decreased their nuclear arms. Meanwhile, nations like China, India, Pakistan, and Israel, and also North Korea, have only gone more and more up. Kind of funny how there's some places like Algeria and Australia that don't have any nuclear arms, but they have been nuked, at least in terms of tests. There's also Japan, which those were not tests. But yes, apparently Russia still has the #1 nuclear arsenal in the world at the moment, and that's probably not going to change anytime soon. Thank you, Country VN. Iran versus the Persian Empire. Obviously, the Persian Empire from 300 BC versus Iran right now. Well, things have kind of changed in terms of their military arsenal, but Oh, that's different. They used to be just about Minecraft, diamond swords and shields and things like that. Meanwhile, things just, well, yeah, fly, CPU. I'm trying to think, who is this last ball? Is that Macedonia? I don't think they technically had a flag, but this is the sun that used to represent them. This is the civil flag, which apparently was only made in like the 1980s. That video is by Rukavov. This one is as well. This is during the Cold War, the USA and the USSR building tanks. This is how is that T-34? Blows it up, makes it big. We definitely have different thoughts on tanks during the Cold War. Well, actually, both nations have always kind of had very different thoughts on tanks forever, even right now. USA, I have 2 tanks. USSR, I have giant tank. It's funny because during World War II, the Soviets employed a very similar strategy to the USA, just build a bunch of tanks. But then somewhere along the way, they lost that and decided to build a battleship on land. To be fair, this was made during World War II, but it was literally called a land battleship. I like how, according to this, the USA makes their tanks with love, caterpillars, eagles, wheels for whatever reason, and it makes 2 tanks. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union just using like Minecraft blocks or whatever. Again, both those videos by Rukavov. Please go subscribe. Top military spenders starting the year 1930, which is an interesting time to start off because we're right before World War II. In the year 1930, the Soviet Union was outspending everybody else. I have a feeling there's going to be a new #1 here soon enough. And there they are. There goes Germany. I mean, Germany wasn't really allowed to have a big military in the year 1930. Here's 31, and then they become No Germany in 33, right? I mean, well, that says 32. I'm reading that German rearmament really took place in 1935, though, but whatever. So they're gonna obviously explode past each. Oh, there's even Japan that gets passed up. They're gonna explode past the British and the French. Remember that people were facing economic troubles, well, especially the USA with the Great Depression. 1934, here's 1935, and they are gonna extremely pass up the USSR. This must have been pretty terrifying, which this really puts into perspective why the whole appeasement thing was probably on a lot of people's minds. They saw a rapidly growing German military, and probably a lot of the other European nations were like, yeah, I would rather not have to fight that. Is this 8 trillion? Is this adjusted for inflation by 1938? I'm not surprised because that's a year before World War II starts. Germany, quality, allies, quantity. That is, I mean, depends on the allies you're talking about, but that is kind of funny. Fun fact, No Germany lost because it was attacked by the entire world. I mean, not the entire world, but it's impressive how they were fighting off a lot of people. This is a little bit misleading, but it's basically blue versus green, which funny enough, it was similar in World War I as well. Another legendary edit by this channel. Really love that we focus specifically on that time period. Would love to see more. The lowest temperatures in the world: Japan, Germany, Canada, and then there's Russia, -68°C, and then there's Antarctica. Obviously, if there was a war for who could be the coldest, Antarctica would destroy everyone. I don't think it'd even be close. But you know what? In terms of top 10 coldest places on Earth, there's a lot of other places besides the Antarctica continent that make the list. It's actually quite impressive. Obviously, Antarctica is still #1 though, with this station specifically. I guess Antarctica would have more on the list, but we literally cannot build settlements there to even make the list. How many stations are there in Alaska or Antarctica? Alaska, same thing. Ain't no way Antarctica just flipped us off. Skull emoji. Nice job, state balls. Meanwhile, father and son, another country with their father. Well, what are we talking about? What kind of father? Or Italy and fascist Italy, and then Germany with No Germany, and then Russia and the USSR, and then Japan and old Japan, and it's, as you can see with the music, it's kind of dark, not all the time. Obviously a modern day France with a Napoleonic France, that's pretty epic too. Oh, I forgot that both Austria and Hungary have the same father. Imagine your father was literally fluent in like 13 different languages. He would literally just become the giga polyglot. This just sent me down a whole different rabbit hole. This guy apparently knew 59. How's that possible? So I'm confused here. So we have the USA. Oh, okay, this is Hawaii putting on pineapples on pizza, and you know, Italy about to bunk. I don't think this is trying to say that Italy is the father of America. We do have a lot of Italian immigrants though. Even though, keep in mind, this is not our creation. That was Canada. Do not blame us for that war crime. So the video goes on and we pretty much talk about just nothing but World War II nations, like the reference that Germany is like half of the EU here, as you can see. Oh, are they the ones that painted it? What are you doing with those scissors, Japan? Japan be like 200,000 years of human evolution just for you to end like this? Yeah, rip. Nice. Please go check out all these channels. Big thanks to the patrons. Month 1 in Drew's basement. Kansas was mentioned. I can't sleep without Drew's voice. Drew's Argentinian Grandpa. I'm back, Amateur boys. Archaeology. aPhatNarwhal. Carmel Saida. DaBeautiful-MEGAN-Underwood. InquisitorXarius. KirinoIsBestGirl. Tyrol. The Mexican KingBearHaze. Fredrik Tibblin. And ZaneyBoi.